G'day guys, welcome back to Living on 2 Acres, Queensland. Look, today I just want to quickly talk about one project that I have here on my property. It is about growing the hedge screen using FIJOS. I had a look online to see. I couldn't find any examples of someone actually doing hedge screen. There are some videos showing how densely they can grow together and create kind of like a windbreak barrier and things like that. So I thought, why not try to grow them, as a hedge, because you can apparently trim them and they handle that okay, and you can even shape them. So here's my project. As you can see there where the fence is, that's the boundary of my property. My property is rather narrow but long, so I want to create a bit of privacy from that end, and I planted these FIJOS here. So there's about 8 or 9 here in this row, and then there's about 8 more here. And just a few days ago I planted 3 more just to have that continuous sort of hedge here. And the idea, basically, I'll show you. So this is the house and that there is the boundary, and I want to just cover this space a bit, create again a bit of a windbreak barrier, and also protect myself, in a way of giving me a bit more privacy from that thing happening there. I think they're gonna have like a machinery park or something there, so I just want to make us some nice looking barrier. And of course the FIJOS are delicious fruit in themselves, and also when they flower, the flowers look very, very beautiful. They smell great, they attract a lot of pollinators, native bees, and apparently those flowers are also very, very tasty to eat. So I'm a big fan of FIJOS, and I'll show you. I got quite a few planted, and although this here looks very, very, these plants are still very, very tiny. These are all, grew from cuttings. We cut them off existing FIJOS plants, just the side shoots that we didn't need, and we put them in the seed raising mix, and they basically just set out the roots into the ground. Then we had them in the pots for a few months, and then finally they got into the ground here. And these here are about, I have to say, this cutting is probably a year old. It took some time for it to root, and it stood in the pot for some time, and now it actually it actually grows. You can see there are fresh shoots here, and this row here I planted about 3 months ago, so I think these are well established in the ground, although they're not big yet. And so are these ones here as well. And all these plants here, you can see here, they're all cuttings, so they do take off very well. They're easy to propagate, from cuttings. I don't know if that's the right word, to propagate. You do it with seeds, I suppose, but yeah. So I'll show you just a little later on how I grow them from cuttings, what sort of device I had to come up with, but it's not, there's nothing complicated. And the reason why I think it might actually be a good idea to have it as a hedge, I will show you. I have another hedge screen along my driveway which is about 2 years old now, and a lot of those plants also grown from cuttings, and they're doing very, very well. And FIJOS are not very demanding on the soil type you gotta have them in, and our climate here in subtropics also quite suitable to them as well. So I'm hoping that maybe in 3-4 years they will grow up to maybe 2-3 meters, and eventually maybe even high, up to 4, and I'll just get my hedge trimmer and just trim them to whatever I want, and come harvest I'll have a lot of good tasting FIJOS. I'm really looking forward to that. So I'll show you how the ones I planted 2 years ago doing in a moment. So here we are on my driveway. As you can see, it's very long, and right from the bottom here up to the top I probably have about, I don't know, 25 of those, maybe 30. I could be wrong, but yeah, these plants are, they've been planted about 2 years ago, and you can see how well they are doing. Most of them anyway. They are all covered to protect them from, wallabies, of which I have heaps here. They roam our area freely and they munch on everything they can get their paws on. So I have to protect it. But as I was saying, check it out. It's, already quite a size. And there on the other side, I have another 4 of a decent size as well. Those are the first ones I planted just for the fruit before I actually came to consider Fijoas, as a hedge. When I was thinking about what to make the hedge of, obviously the first alternative I thought of was Lili Pili, but then I thought, well, it's not really a kind of tree that produces any sort of useful fruit. You can eat those red berries that Lili Pili produces, but they not very tasty. Like you're much better off having something useful. And having so many Fijoas gives me hope that once they start fruiting, I won't have to worry about losing a few to, pests or other critters that, might like them, like possums, parrots, and perhaps other birds as well. So I chose this as an alternative, and hopefully this is what happened in 2 years, hopefully another couple of years, and it'll be nice and bushy, and it'll actually interlock and join together. And then I'm just gonna take the protection off. I won't mind the kangaroos munching on them at all, because as I said, I'm mostly after the hedge, and I want to get some noise cover from that road there. So hopefully that'll give me something, and also give me some privacy, because looking down on my property from the road, it's quite exposed from the road. I want to rectify that somehow. But yeah, here it is. And in my view, Fijoas can be used for the hedge screen. Again, these are very, very young, but once it grows, the plant will probably be maybe 2 meters wide. So that's just about under 2 meters here between them. That'll give them some space to grow and still allow all the branches to, intertwine and give me a good cover. And this land, this soil here where these Fijoas are planted, it's extremely poor. This just there's just like a basic landfill, of which my driveway was made before I put the concrete in, and still they grow very, very well. There's only last one that is not doing all that spectacular, spectacular, because obviously it's quite dry there, but I started watering it recently. I'm sure it'll catch up. Otherwise, yeah, this is what it looks like. So guys, you probably should consider that as an alternative to Lili Pilis or other hedges, especially if you want a taller hedge, and the hedge that will look beautiful, because obviously when it'll flower, it'll just look amazing, it'll smell good, it'll attract heaps of pollinators to your garden, and the fruit, of course, it's said to be delicious. I never actually tried a good Fijoa, but mostly because the rare times you can buy them in the shops, they're not quite there yet. So I'm really looking forward. We did have 1 or 2 on those plants that we first planted, but it didn't survive. It dropped. It must be too young yet, but hopefully next year there will be some. And here is my little nursery, and you can see in the pots here I have some cuttings which have been taken out of the cutting and seed growing mix. They sprouted some roots, and now I planted them in the pots, and as you can see, they all sort of growing. They have fresh growth on them. So as I said, the growing them from cuttings is easy as if you have someone who has Fijoa, just go right ahead and cut some. You can dip the cuttings into the growth hormone. I dip them in honey. Apparently that's similar to that, but you don't even need to do that. Just stick them in a good ground, keep it moist, and I'd say in a few months most of your cuttings should set out the roots, and that's when you can plant them. And just last thing I'll show you where I actually put my cuttings to put the roots out. You might come up with something of your own, or you might copy what I've done. So this is it here. Basically it's 2 foam boxes. I keep it in this bucket with a bit of water down there, and I have drainage holes on the bottom of the bottom foam box, just for the water to come into the soil and keep it moist. And on top here it's just clear plastic, because obviously you need to give it some light when you grow the cuttings. And this is what I got inside. You'll see I have some figs here as well, and they're doing well too. But basically when I get a cutting from Feijoa that I have to cut off because it's sticking in the wrong way, I just come here and put it in the soil, and I can see that you know, most of them are still alive, still doing okay. This one obviously is not going to survive, but many others are fine. These mostly been here for at least a month, so if they were not to survive, they would have already gone this way here. And I can pull it out and you'll see there's nothing there, so I can just chuck that out. But yeah, that's what I use to grow Feijoas from cuttings. And again, you can, you know, come up with something of your own, or you can borrow this idea. You're most welcome to. Anyway, let me know in the comments what do you think. You know, do like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I'll do more in the near future. I hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one, guys. Happy growing.